What's up, everybody? My name is Guido, and today I'm going to show you exactly how Stef, one of my clients, went from 8K to 40K per month in cash in just 30 days, implementing my done-for-you acquisition infrastructure. And I'm going to explain to you what it is and why it's the best scaling model for 2024. So what is this all about, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can actually scale your coaching business to 50K per month using a proven done-for-you infrastructure without having to book your own calls or take sales calls for years. Right? You'll also learn exactly why you're stuck between 7K and 20K, which is pretty common, and how you can get out of that. Okay, I'm going to give you everything so you can do that in this video. And here's some proof of results, right? So for Stef specifically, this is how I implemented an infrastructure that got Stef from 8K to 40K per month in just 30 days. And now he's making over 50K per month without booking or taking any sales calls. And as I mentioned, the main thing about this video is also talking about how you're going to be able to get unstuck from that stage of 7K to 20K with my automatic scientific method, right? It tells you your main problems in your business and exactly what you have to do to fix them without having to spend all day booking, taking calls by hiring a sales team. And what I mean by that is that basically I have a tracking system that tells exactly based on your numbers, right? They have to be accurate, but that takes care of itself as well. Based on the numbers, like what is your constraint in your business and what you should work on, right? Is it your closing skills? Is it that you need to hire somebody? Is it that you need to book more calls? All those things. It will tell you exactly what the problem is and what the solution is. And basically, this new approach is called an AI acquisition infrastructure to scale your coaching business that automatically detects the main constraint in your business from the 5 main categories of ROAS, bookings, shows, closes, and price. Okay, those are the 5 variables that are going to get you to 50K if you optimize all of them. And then it tells you how to fix each of those tabs laid out and how to hire the right team to grow your business, instead of you having to learn the skills of setting and closing, right? Just to make a little bit more money. So in order for me to be able to explain this AI acquisition infrastructure, I actually need to explain to you how I actually discovered this in the first place, or else it's going to seem a little bit too advanced and too complicated to understand. You will also learn exactly how and where to find the best people, salespeople, setters, and closers to put into your team so that you can scale properly. And my method is honestly completely opposite to what most people do. And so I'm excited to share that with you as well. And the funny thing is that I was not always getting results. Like I started out not being able to get clients always the best results, right? Like 8K to 40K per month, or having one of my other clients make 20K in the first week that we worked together, or another one that actually was going 0 to 20, 0 out of 20 in terms of closes. And then he closed the next 3 people as soon as we started working together. And I personally have also closed over $1 million at this point. But at some point, I was not good at sales. In fact, before I discovered AI and scaling teams and sales teams, I was actually struggling to grow my own business and my own income. I started out trying different businesses like Amazon FBA, drop shipping. I had an agency. I had a startup. I had a SaaS company as well. I tried a bunch of different things and I had some mild success with each of them, but I never really cracked it. And I gained a lot of skills, but honestly, I never kind of broke through. And that made me really, really frustrated. Then I was a closer for a period of time and I discovered the power of a sales team. The founder I was working for, his name is Bastian Slot, literally was not booking any calls, not taking any calls, and he was making over 120,000 per month from just myself closing calls. And he barely worked 2 to 4 hours a day, which literally blew my mind. I realized that I was trying to do everything in my business instead of hiring the right people or putting the right systems in place to do the work for me while I worked on the business instead of in it. Then AI came onto the scene and I started using it to become more productive in my business and personal life. I realized that after learning AI and automation, I could actually remove and eliminate a lot of the tasks that I was doing before and completely automate them. I could simply use AI or integrations to completely automate them instantly without having to hire a VA that I would have to manage, hire, and pay for every month. Because for a really long time, I thought that I would have to work myself to death 24/7, 12 hours a day to prove to myself that I was a business owner, right? That I was a busy person that actually knew what they were talking about. But when I started leveraging AI and a sales team, not only for myself, but for my clients, we realized that it was so much better just to leverage those things so that the person didn't have to work all the time. And the time that they did work was focused on high leverage activities that actually moved the business forward. It made the boat go faster, as Sam Ovens likes to say. So that's where I'm at today. I'm helping my clients structure their business exactly how I did with all the skills that I've learned. which got Steph from 8K to 40K per month. And also Bryce Tubbs, one of my other clients, made 20K in his first week. And from then on, he was very consistent with his closing rate. So now that you know what an AI acquisition infrastructure means and how it can help you, what's the exact like breakdown? You might be thinking like, what's the step-by-step process to implement that in your own coaching business so that you can actually get results and automate a lot of the things that you're doing right now manually, or even eliminate them? Well, after doing this for myself and over 5 to 10 clients personally, I've boiled it down to 3 simple steps to go from stuck at 7 to 20K per month with holes in acquisition and delivery, where everything is disorganized and you don't really know what to do every single day to move forward, to a 50K per month or more business that is making that every single month consistently in an organized fashion. And you know exactly, you have a framework on how to get to 100K and beyond, as well as a higher team that is doing the sales for you so that you can focus on making the product better and you can focus on growing the business overall. And this is why using AI and a sales team is better than most processes out there. Basically, the first reason is that you're working on your business and not in. When you're lost in the daily small actions that you have to do because you feel like you have to do them, or somebody told you you have to do them, or, on top of that, you're also booking calls, taking calls, and making content and all that, that puts a lot of stress and adds a lot of things to your calendar. And the problem with that is that you never get to take a step back and do the 2 most important tasks, which is one, content and ads, right? Making sure that is running so it's bringing the lead flow and it's making sure that it's still performing, or getting it to perform again if it stopped performing. And then on top of that, also looking at the numbers, not only in just acquisition but also in delivery, meaning with the feedback that you got that week, you're actually understanding what happened in the acquisition process and what is the bottleneck to focus on next in the next weeks. And on top of that, in delivery, how to structure it better and seeing if it's starting to break, and if you need to bring on a CSM, for example, or if you can still hold on, and what's the quality, if you have any flags or any red flags, right? People complaining in the back end, or if everything is moving smoothly. The next reason why I think this is better than most systems out there is because you're building a strong foundation before scaling with ads. Now, a lot of programs out there are very ads focused, and that's definitely important, right? You need the ads to bring the lead flow. But the problem is that if you're not good at everything else, right? If you don't have a system to take that attention and convert it into clients, you're going to have a really hard time managing that lead flow. And you're going to think, oh, this ad is not working because the ROAS is only like 1.5x or 2x. But actually, that would be a really high performing ad as long as you knew how to squeeze as much out of it as possible, right? The quality of your setting, the quality of your closing calls, the time, the number of calls that you're able to book overall, how you qualify people, right? How you nurture them through the content, what type of sequences or what type of messages do they get before they hop on the call with you, and things like that. And then on the other side, you also have delivery. Like, a lot of people think that they can have the same model, even if it's group coaching, but the same model that they used from 0 to 10K per month to 15K per month. But if you think about it, if I asked you, like, can you bring on 100 clients per month in the next 3 months, would you be able to handle that? Like, probably not. And because of that, you need to structure delivery, right? You can't spend time, let's say somebody's not paying you the installments. You can't spend like months and months worrying about, like, having them come back to the program so they can pay you. You need a specific structure that allows you to know exactly, okay, when this person doesn't answer me 10 times in a row, then I will mark them as paused and I won't bother trying to contact them again. Like, if they want to, they would get back to you, right? And having that clear boundary that puts you in a position where you're using logic to make decisions instead of emotion is a lot better, because then you're not using your brain to make those decisions all the time based on how you feel. So my recommendation is to build that strong foundation of acquisition and delivery before you put a ton of more on ads. And when everything looks green, right, I have a tracking sheet that tells you it's red when something is a bottleneck. That's when you then put more on ads, right? When everything is green and nothing is a problem, you put it on ads and you scale. On top of that, a lot of people are still charging like 3, 4, even 5K. And that's fine, like, that's not a problem. But the problem is that when you scale, it's just so much harder to scale if you're not charging at least 6K. Like, 5K is better, but still not ideal. And, you might be thinking, oh, but mine is like a health offer or a relationship offer. I literally have Stef is a health offer, and we're literally charging 50 to 100, getting paid in fulls. If somebody can pay 2,400, they can pay 5K, 58. It's just about making the offer better and refining the offer. That's actually what's going to make a difference. A lot of people just work on the offer in the beginning, but then once you get to the next level, like they just forget about the offer. But that's not how it works, right? You need to get clients to refine your offer, really understand what they care about, what are the next stages, to add that to the main offer to make it a lot more valuable and worth that 6K minimum. Because the most important thing about this infrastructure is that you don't waste years figuring this stuff out, like trying to close 8 clients a week at 3K because that's all you can think of charging. And one day, let me just try to pitch 5K, and you realize it's like literally the same. And then you just decide to pitch like at 5K every time. Like it's just easier to have somebody tell you, hey, you have to charge at least 6K, so that you can actually, do that earlier and save a bunch of years of trial and error. Same thing with setting and with closing, right? Like if you're doing it yourself or you're hiring, like knowing exactly what to say and what to do, or knowing how to hire the right person, which is a whole separate skill, is also super important. I see people like hiring VAs from the Philippines, or hiring based on like, oh yeah, this person seems cool, or they're like me. That's not who you want to hire. You want to hire people that you can see growing your company, and there's a specific strategy for that, which kind of guides me into the next point, which is build a team instead of mastering sales yourself, right? You want to make sure that, yes, you want to work on your skills, and with that, you want to increase the price as much as possible, right? To set the bar high for the people that you hire. But at the same time, you're not a closer or a setter, right? You want to know how to close or set, but you're not a closer or setter. So at some point when it makes sense, we want to bring on a setter and a closer that are well hired and trained and managed, to make sure that you're not focusing on that, right? You don't have to master sales. You just need to be good enough to then have somebody else do it at 80% of your capacity, and that will be more than enough. You want to be a great business owner and operator, not somebody who's in the trenches all the time and taking calls and booking calls. And here's my best way to hire somebody. If you want to hire a setter or a closer, first I would hire a setter, because you want to take calls as long as possible to raise the price. Now, once you've hit at least 6K in terms of a price, then you can hire a closer. And at that point, you're probably making at least 50K. So with a setter, you hire ideally when you're making at least 20K per month. 30K is the best. And the way you want to go about it is start with your clients, ask if anybody wants to be a setter for you, then go into your audience, and then go into your network, and then go into Facebook groups and or hiring agencies and stuff like that to find. Obviously, you can also ask me, and I have like a community of over hundreds of setters and closers that I can place for you. And of course, you can work with us, so I can be very tailored about that approach. But ultimately, you want to find somebody who fits certain criteria, right? A lot of people just focus on hiring based on like how they feel about the person, which is a good indication, and I'll explain why. Or they'll say, I need somebody with experience. No, you don't. Like a lot of times, especially if you're on the lower end, like you don't have the authority to warrant somebody who has made before, let's say 10K per month. If you're not even making 100K per month, like that person's not even going to be able to make half of that. And so because of that, you based on the commission structure, right? Because of that, like you don't want to follow that advice. Typically, what you want is to look for three things: definitely skill level, right? And that can come from experience. You want industry knowledge, niche knowledge, right? Do they understand the person they're talking to based on your offer, right? And then the third one is what I call KCIs, key culture indicators, which is basically the behaviors and the ways that they kind of act on a day-to-day basis, that tells you what type of person they are, especially when there's stress involved, right? When there's decisions to be made that are uncomfortable, what do they do, right? When they have somebody that they know is not a good fit at all, do they still sell to that person, or do they, disqualify them, right? That's a hard decision. Morally speaking, I would say you don't sell to people you cannot help them, right? Another example is, are they proactive or are they reactive, right? Do they take responsibility or do they blame everybody else? All those traits are going to allow you to select the right person that is going to help you the most. And the most important thing is always hire when it's a hell yes. If there's even any doubt inside of you that that person is not going to be a good fit, right, based on the KCIs, don't hire them. So the biggest waste of time is hiring the wrong person. So really spend time, a whole week. And the most important thing is that you have to interview at least 10 people. At least 10. Honestly, I recommend 15 to 20, but it needs to be at least 10 people that you talk to. Another reason why this is better is because you have the structure in place, meaning you have a process, right, for delivery and also for acquisition, that allows you to know exactly what to have to do. There's instructions for everything, right? That's why when you buy something from IKEA, and it's super easy to assemble, because they literally give you a simple as possible book that tells you step by step what you have to do. right? And so that's what I've created as well, is with AI and SOPs, you're allowed to have a structured acquisition and delivery. So let's say somebody doesn't show to the call. What do? You have instructions. Somebody doesn't watch the video. What do you do on the call, right? Somebody, you're on the call with somebody. Like, how do you close them? What questions do you ask? How do you alter the framework based on the person? How do you work on your identity so you can get the best out of the call and the person, right? And all of these things have specific instructions on what you have to do. So you don't have to think, you just execute based on the instructions. And one of my favorite parts is the AI, using that with the process of the human mind. Basically, all the things that you can think of, like generating content ideas, or integrating when you book a call, how that integrates with your Slack if you have a team, and all, or like when a call is booked, how does that show up in your tracking sheet? All that stuff it's a whole system that is integrated with AI and with automations, so that it allows you to not have to think about things. And that's exactly what I did for Stef, which got him to 40K per month in just 30 days. We implemented an AI tracking system. We hired a team of 8 players to take over the inbox and the sales calls. And we created a funnel that worked all together in a good sales process to make sure that could do that consistently month after month. And now he's making 50K per month. And you might be asking, like, what is this type of funnel? Well, the funnel is a brand funnel. And what that means is basically you're using your brand to attract and nurture people before they even talk to you and hop on a sales call, which it's basically a much easier way to sell people into your program when you don't have a fully refined messaging or offer, right? Like, it's really hard to guess what people want, really. And so the best way to do that is to buy yourself some leeway. And the best leeway is when you have a brand, right? When people like you for who you are, they want to work with you specifically. They're more likely to invest in you not because, they love the offer or the messaging, but because they know you have a lot of knowledge and they like you as a person. And because of that, this funnel kind of allows for that. And that's the best funnel up to 100K per month. And I've studied all different types of funnel, and this is definitely the best one. So the process is to first optimize your funnel by doing follower ads that get people into your Instagram, right, to become your audience. And then you have one reel per day. You have stories that sell people and have CTAs every single day getting people into your inbox, and long form on YouTube to nurture people, right? So that when they hop in the inbox and the calls, it's a lot easier to get them to commit. So once they're in the inbox, you book them fast with a very short setting script, right? That you book them quickly so you get out of the inbox as soon as possible to do other tasks. And then you have also a sales call script that clearly defines what is the gap that they have, and then you have a very clear way of presenting your offer so that they feel really excited and they know they're clear and certain on what are the next steps for them, and how your program is going to get them to that goal. And then once they close, you onboard them into your structured delivery that is a lot more organized than perhaps what you might have right now, with a clear tracking sheet to know exactly where each client stands, a clear SOPs and tasks of what you have to do every day to be able to take care of your clients, so that you don't have to think about, oh, I should check in with this person, see how they're doing. No, you actually have a clear time and way to reach out to them to know how they're doing, so that you don't never feel like you're always one step ahead, right? You're not like trying to correct problems that show up, but instead you're preventing things from showing up, which removes a lot of the cognitive load that you might have had if you're always on like fire extinguisher mode. So at this point, you know exactly how my students get to 50K per month without having to worry about all the tiny details, without having to book calls or take sales calls, and they can make proper decisions with an AI tracking system. And now we can talk about the 3 main steps, right, which I already touched on a little bit. The 3 main steps in order to make this happen, which is number one, set up the main proven infrastructure for the business needs, right? Acquisition and delivery, meaning you have all the tracking down, all the SOPs, you know exactly what you have to do. You just have to execute, and then it puts into your calendar, so you know what you have to do every single day. And then step number 2 is to fix the main constraints to get to 30K per month and more, right? And the 5 main constraints are bookings, shows, closes, price, and ROAS, right? If you focus on each of those and you optimize them so that they're no longer the constraint, it becomes super easy to get to 30K per month. And then once you get there, the third step is to hire a sales team, because that becomes your next constraint. Truly, it's the availability of the calendar. And so you hire a sales team to replace you as the founder, and you have a hiring process that you could do it yourself. We also obviously do that done for you if you'd like that, if you work with us. But basically, you can hire people to replace you, and then you literally just have to manage them, and that's it. So now you might be wondering, like, how exactly do you think about these things? Like, how do you implement these systems? What are these systems, right? Like, how does the system know what is the next constraint to work on, right? How do you even fix that? What are the possible permutations, right? So you know exactly what to work on. And ultimately, like what's the in-depth process to hiring? Or if you want, like, how do you get access to these communities that are able to just like mine that are able to just send you high quality setters and closers. And that brings me to the reason I made this video, which is to give as much clarity as I can to people for people to understand like what exactly do you need in order to scale to 50K. Like it's not this complicated process that is should be gatekept. I think it's a super simple process, but it's a lot of times people are working on the right thing, but at the wrong time. It's like if your closing rate is already 25%, like working on that is not going to take you to the next level, but maybe your price is still like 4K and you need to get that to 6K plus or a 7 or 8, right? And that's going to change everything massively. And because of that, I of course I can give away everything I can, but ultimately people also need accountability and customization for each person and the one-on-one approach. And that's why I created my program, which is Coaching Systems Incubator. And again, in the software, we do these 3 steps, right? We set up the main improvement infrastructure for the business, right? For the coaching business. So in acquisition and delivery, right? So to make sure you have everything laid out properly with the funnel that we recommend and is the most proven in this industry. Number 2, we want to fix the main constraints, right? And focus on that every single week to know what to work on. For example, one of my clients recently, his numbers look amazing. ROAS looks amazing. Everything is healthy. The only thing that is low is the bookings, right? So it's like, if you don't have enough calls, you're not going to be able to close. Pretty straightforward, but is knowing what to solve and how to solve it that really matters. And then ultimately, the process of hiring a sales team, right, to know exactly how to do that or how to get it done, and then how to manage that person, which is actually really, really, really important. For example, how do you develop a vision so you can inspire the people that work for you to keep working for you, even though maybe they're not earning as much as they would like? They will eventually earn it because they see the vision, they see how you're going to progress. So this is not for everyone, right? It's not for people who want to keep the business in the same level, right? If you want to keep making 10, 20K per month, with nothing wrong with that, right? But if you want to like slowly scale to 50K in the next 5 years instead of growing as quickly as possible, this is probably not for you because this is a very like straightforward, bare bones, like, let's get this done. You have to invest in yourself and your ads and your people and all that. And so it's going to be really hard to do that if you're not willing, of course, to do it, right? Number 2 is those who are afraid of hard work and managing people, right? Because as much as you can have other people do the work for you, if you're not willing to manage them, like it will not work because at least you won't attract high quality people because A players need accountability. They want somebody who can lead them properly. And so you need to become that person that will lead them in a way that they feel like they want to actually be a part of that team. And of course, if you're unwilling to invest in ads and you want to grow organically, like through cold outreach or something, it works. Sometimes it's really hard to get it working. It does rarely work to grow quickly. That's the problem, right? And it can take a long time to work. So it's not that it doesn't, but if you want to go that route, it kind of matches up with the first one, which is like a slow pace type of business. Instead, if you're one of these 3 clients, this might actually be for you, right? So if you want to scale as quickly as possible and get to 100K as quickly as possible, I'm also that type of person. So, and you're willing to do whatever it takes, then it's definitely going to be for you, right? If you want to be an industry leader and impact the world, right? You don't want to be just another person in your industry. You want to actually create amazing products, create amazing experiences for people, and have the best talent in the space because you have that vision, that strong vision to change the world. And of course, ultimately, you aren't afraid of managing people, the work required to manage A players, manage their emotions, manage like how their life is impacting their work, and ultimately getting them to their goals because and building your vision as well, right? Because ultimately you need to have a strong vision. Like I was a closer for a while, and the reason why I left is because the business owner didn't have vision. Like their vision was to make money and to retire, and they were barely like in their 20s. So it was just not exciting at all. And so my vision was bigger than theirs. So that just made me like turned off completely. And that's why I left. So if this structure or this approach kind of resonates with you and you feel like you really want to put the work in and it's something that you feel like is going to allow you to finally break through to 50K and get unstuck, then feel free to schedule a call with me to get a custom 50K scaling plan because every business is different. So the constraint that is in your business is probably different from others. Even though it's decently similar, it's always going to have a little bit different nuances, right? And honestly, I was a closer before. So my last thing I want to do is like make it feel like a closing call or anything like that. Like I just want to provide as much value as possible. And if you feel like I've earned your right to work with you, right, I would love to, of course, make you an offer. But that's really not my goal. My goal is to help you as much as possible. And if I can do that, even with just this video, that would mean the world to me, honestly. So worst case, I'll give you a blueprint of what is your main constraint in your business and what to focus on. Like I had a call a few weeks back with somebody who we haven't worked together yet, or I don't know if we will in the future. But he mentioned that it was pretty life changing, and I thought I provided a lot of value, and we kind of revamped the offer. So we could even do that on the call. I don't mind at all. And best case, we can start working together, and we can scale you to that 50K mark per month, and in 6 months or less, right? So if that resonates with you, once again, just go below and click on the link, the Calendly link, to book a call. Just fill out the form, just so I have an idea where you're at with your business. And then from there, we can just have a good conversation, and I'll just give you everything that I know, so you can resolve all your issues alone. Or if you want any help, of course, we can talk about it. And if you're not 100% sure yet, I just wanted to show you some, of course, examples of people that I work with. I already mentioned a few names, but I wanted you to see specifically. For example, Stef, right? So you can see here in April, he made around 8K, 9K. In May, it was 36K in cash collected, but we count cash collected after like fees and stuff like that. So it was actually more like 40K. And this was last year. He made around 253 from the moment that we started working together. Sorry, no, actually, this was the whole year. And this again is gross revenue, right? So before the fees. And here's a difference, right? So I don't have the dates on these PIFs, but specifically, but you can see here this is 2,400 paid in full, right? And you can see I'm participating. I even joined the Slack. I don't do that anymore, but I joined their Slack in order to kind of help with the management and everything. And you can see here now, a few months later, we're charging 48, and actually we're charging 5,200 now, like 48. And this was the first one that we got, was paid in full. Like literally the day we raised, we got a paid in full, or the day after, I forgot. So yeah, that's Steph. Like that was the closer. That was Anthony, who he's on the call. Like obviously this notification comes in when he's on the call, so we were just reacting right away to the paid in full. And that was actually last month already. So which was a record month as well. So this is Steph. Then the next one that I want to talk about is Israel. This one is good for people that are in different languages. So this works in any market. Israel is from Mexico, and he has an offer where he helps salespeople to improve their skill and to be able to earn more, right? And he was a salesperson himself before, has managed a lot of people. So he has a lot of good skills. So closing was not necessarily the worst thing, but even with that, like you can see here, received over 120 messages, got him 11 calls, and he closed 7. So crazy closing rate, busy week. And he was working on his like back end delivery, right? And he mentioned me here with closing skills, right? Helping him with the closing process. And in this case as well, he got a close yesterday, the day before, and here as well, 8 calls booked for the week after, which is not as much as he's doing now. He's definitely doing more. And he closed one. And this was when we implemented the follow-up structure that allowed him to get the same people that he was talking to, but by following up with them, he got them to come in and then finally close. So long-term follow-ups are also a huge part of the systems that I develop. And I'm very proud of that because I used them myself when I was a closer. So they're probably pretty good. I know they're pretty good. And so, yeah, this is Israel. And then the third person was Adam Abdel Halim, good friend of mine, really, really good friend of mine. We have a mastermind together. And Abdel, basically, I helped him more with closing, but also with other things in his coaching business. But he basically, I had like 3 calls with him even before he became a client. I think we did like 2 calls. I reviewed a couple calls, told him like what to tweak in his calls, and he went from 0 out of 20 to having literally a 50% close rate afterwards. Like he closed like the next 3, which technically is 100% on those, and then he consistently was able to close people in his program, and he was able to scale to 18K per month, and that was with cold leads. So he literally was targeting. He was cold prospecting, right? Not even with ads, so it was a lot colder, and he was literally closing people on the call, like no issues. So here are some examples. It was pretty grateful here, and I'm grateful to have had him as a client. He said he closed a 3K deal. This was when he was charging 3K. He's charging more now. $1,000 per month, first month paid. Yeah, I was super excited for him. So this is super cool to see once again. And then finally, Bryce, my first client actually for this specific offer that I have. I'm always going to be grateful for that. In this case, he was talking about one of the sales he had just had, and he described what happened. He got him to move a month faster, right? Sometimes like people let people off the calls, and that's not the worst case, but honestly, it's pretty bad because once you let somebody off the call, the chances of them coming back are not very high, especially if you have unresolved issues that you didn't solve on the call. And so he actually got him to close a month earlier, right? Which is pretty cool. And so he added this message, which is very kind. He told me that it was quite substantial, right? The win, this actual win, um, not just from money, but understand the key questions that unlock the person and bring the sale. Because once you understand sales, it just becomes so much easier. And once you see it working, it's just like, oh, I just have to follow the process and it just works. Okay, that makes sense. And by the way, my sales process is very, very laid back. It's like I never tell like never like anything salesy or anything that feels like it's the person feels like they're being sold to is completely removed, and the goal is to make the person feel like it's an organic conversation. And I think that's my strength, and it's based on the top influencers in the space online, and I combine everything together to make a really strong script. And on top of that, I learned most of this from a really, really good mentor of mine who was my manager for a few months, Paulo Flores. And yeah, he's a killer in terms of sales, so he taught me everything that I know, or a big part of it. He was speaking here about the video looks effective, which was the thank you video that we implement to for people to watch before the call. And the lady that wanted to cancel, they spoke on the phone 2 weeks after she finished paying her payment plans with two payments of 1250. So she's fully paid off with the script. And this was somebody who was saying, hey, I want to stop. This was in delivery, right? I remember this was somebody who said they wanted to stop. They didn't want to continue with the program for various reasons. She was not really being very, consistent with her work. And so that's why she was not getting results. And basically, we kind of created a script to handle that type of situation. And because of the call they had, he was able to overcome that, and she actually made the rest of the payments. So which increases the AR, or decreases the AR problems, right? Accounts receivables, and the ability to kind of collect all the cash that you were promised originally. And then this is the best one, which was another one just closed. It's 20K cash collected week so far. 1 out of 2 today. This was the first week that we worked together. So this was pretty cool. This was awesome, honestly. So that's about it. If you if you want to get to 50K as soon as possible, schedule a call below. We'll just have a conversation. I'm not going to try to sell you if you don't want anything. Ultimately, I just want to provide value, and hopefully somebody wants to work with me. I do have people working with me. At some point, I had to stop acquisition because I was getting too many clients and I wanted to focus on client results. But now I'm ready to scale because I really have a structured system, and I'm constantly working on the product. And my next vision is to make a coaching business as automatable as possible, and getting to a place where literally you just click one button and you have all your content created without you having to do a single thing using AI. Also, an automatic setter instead of having a person, having an AI setter in your inbox, just booking calls for you. And then ultimately also an AI kind of driven backend with delivery so that you don't need to hire CSM until you're making like 150K per month. So all exciting stuff that I'm still working on, big projects, not there yet, but all of the things already, like pieces of it already implemented. So I'm super excited. So if you just want to meet up and network, I'm happy to have a call. So yeah, just feel free to go down below and schedule in the link. And that's about it. Now, I do know there are usually a few questions that people might have that I'm happy to answer. So one of them is, how do I hire like closers and setters, right? So in our case, I specifically have like a community of people that I just pull people from. I interview hundreds of them to make sure that they're all quality, and based on that, I pull people based on their experiences and how they would be able to relate to the prospects that are coming on the calls for my clients. And so that's how I do it. But if you want to, of course, do it yourself, you can as well. And the SOPs are all included as well, so that you know exactly how to do it. And what happens if you go through us, of course, is that I interview hundreds of people, and then I select the top three that I think would be the best. And then we have a joint call together with each of those three. You pick the best person, and then we onboard them and ramp them up, and you manage them, right? But I kind of help you throughout the whole process to make sure you're managing properly, having calls, teaching them, and all that stuff. And of course, we'll be continuing the training process as well, with that person in our community. The second question that you might have is, I don't know AI. How do I use it? How do I use all this automation? I'm not good with tech. Honestly, that's really not to worry about. Like, technology is a tool. That's it. So my goal is to make AI and technology as simple as possible, so that even like a child could play with it and it would probably get some results, because ultimately that's all it is. Like, people a lot of times that are systems people, right? They like to create these complicated, like, beautiful, definitely beautiful, but like these complicated, beautiful systems that are useful. They work, but they're just very bloated, and they forget the lesson, which is a system. If the only reason why we have a system is because we have a problem, and so the system should solve a problem in the simplest and fastest way possible without it feeling like there's something there. Like, if you can feel like it added more time to the person, right? Instead of taking away or remove tasks, that's a win. And the more you can do that, the better. And so that's what I kind of try to do with my systems. I'm a systems guy, but not for the sake of systems. It's for the sake of a unified and a simple business, to remember why we're doing this, right? Which is to scale as far as possible, impact as many people as possible, and then help our team really be as successful as they can. That's ultimately the goal. So, yeah, that's about it for today. Hopefully that was helpful. Finally, if you again want to hop on a call with me and just have a custom plan made for you right on the spot, I'm happy to help that out. Again, I'm not going to try to sell you anything if you don't want to. Like, it's just to provide value, and then we'll see what happens. And yeah, if you have any questions, of course, just message me on Instagram. Always happy to help. And have an amazing day.